Newscast.
Good evening, I am Marvin Ross in with your VON Major News Package for today, Friday 11th January 2019. In our lead stories nationally, annual prostate screening to be held here on Nevis on Saturday 12th January, and Premier Brantley addresses concerns over poverty alleviation program. Regionally, Venezuelan Supreme Court Justice flees Maduro regime and is now speaking out. Internationally, defeated candidate in DR Congo election vows legal challenge. And in sports, Virat Kohli says comments made by India's Hardik and Pandya and Rahul are inappropriate. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back and on to our national news segment. Organizers of the free annual prostate screening drive are expecting another significant number of men to attend the screening this year. Urology Associates will host the activity on Saturday 12th January 2019 at the occasions in Pinnies from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. According to urologist Dr. Dwayne Twits, it is better to put a finger in than a foot in the grave, and the treatment will be provided to individuals who show signs of prostate cancer.
We do follow-up care after we do the examination, so each and everyone will come and see me. And then if we need to do any treatment options, again, the doctors are available in the U.S. because we don't do robotic surgery here. So Dr. Caruso does most of our robotic surgery.
That is urologist Dr. Dwayne Twits. Back in 2018, back in 2018, 2017, and 2016, 587, 578, and 622 men were screened, respectively. And in 2018, the Team Unity announced and rolled out for the first time the Poverty Alleviation Program here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The program is aimed at providing an additional $500 to households whose income is less than $3,000. Since the first payments in December 2018, there have been concerns raised by the citizens and residents of Nevis. Premier and Finance Minister here in Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, sought to address these issues.
We recognize that some people have argued that they were left out, that they ought to have been included and they weren't. Others did not give their information and so could not have been included. I want to assure everyone that we will continue to monitor this. If you have concerns, then the appropriate ministry would be the Ministry of Social Development Ministry. They're headed by, of course, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, and he and his staff are more than willing to answer questions that you might have.
That is Minister Brantley was speaking on the first airing of his On the Mark program on Wednesday evening. Premier Brantley also had this to say.
Some people who were unsuccessful, it might well have been that your information could not be verified because there were some things that were incorrect. For example, a phone number to get in touch with you, other details that might have been entered incorrectly. And so do not despair. If it is that you are among the category of persons to benefit from this, then we hope to get to you. Equally, we hope that there are not others who are trying to take advantage of the system. This is a genuine program, genuinely designed to alleviate poverty in our country, to assist our people, to give them what I like to refer to as a hand up, not a handout. And the idea is to help people, and as people grow and develop, as we create more jobs, as the economy grows, as your household income grows, then the anticipation would be that some people will move off of this role for $500 and others may well come on.
That is the Honorable Mark Brantley. And the Denzel Douglas diplomatic passport case returned to court today, Friday 11th January, with the lawyers for the government side expecting a favorable outcome. Following the trial, Attorney General the Honorable Vincent Byron Jr. said that the government has a strong argument based on the 1940s judgment in the Joyce Appellant versus Director of Public Prosecutions Respondent case of February 1st, 1946 in the House of Lords in England. The Attorney General referred to the ruling against William Joyce, an American citizen who resided in British territory for about 24 years. Minister Byron stated that the act of filing out the application form for the passport and the use of the passport to travel constitute acts of adherence, allegiance, and obedience to a foreign power. He noted that Dr. Douglas has traveled 10 times to 7 countries using his diplomatic passport. That is his Dominican diplomatic passport. The Attorney General explained that the trial saw the cross-examination of 3 legal expert witnesses, 2 representing the government side and 1 representing the oppositions. The expert witnesses provided by the government were Mr. Reginald Armour, SC, and Mr. Justin Simon, former Attorney General of Antigua and Barbuda. Both men are Dominican by birth. The lone expert provided by the defendant was attorney-at-law Mr. Gerald Burton, also a Dominican. Both sides have until January 25th to submit written submissions based on evidence that was presented in court today, after which the lawyers will have until February 4th to respond, if necessary, to those submissions before His Lordship makes a judgment. The case was moved to the courts by the Team Unity government to have it declare that Dr. Douglas has vacated his seat in the National Assembly by holding a diplomatic passport of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Section 28(1) of the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis and Section 6 of the National Assemblies Act both provide that a person shall not be qualified to be elected or appointed as a member if he is by virtue of his own act under any acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power or state. And as the Department of Waterworks reduce the wastage of water, citizens and residents in St. Kitts will continue to see reduced water levels. According to officials from the department, the water levels are low and serve as a precautionary measure to conserve water. Following investigations, the department found a high percentage is lost before it meets the customers. In light of this, a water policy will be implemented early this year. Earlier this week, the Barbados-based Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology, CIMH, says there is a long-term drought concern in St. Kitts and Nevis and a number of other Caribbean countries. CIMH, in its Caribbean Climate Outlook released on Tuesday, 8th January, said that with an El Niño on forecast, chances of drought and recurrent dry spells during the dry season are increased and that region-wide extreme drought is unlikely. Today, Friday, 11th January 2019, marks the 262nd birthday of Alexander Hamilton. A number of activities will be held here in Nevis and in the United States of America. At present, the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society and the Nevis Island Administration's Community Development Department are jointly hosting the annual Alexander Hamilton Tea Party and Scholarships Award Ceremony at the Alexander Museum grounds on the Samuel Hunkins Drive. The Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, NHCS, is a custodian of the Alexander Hamilton Museum. Alexander Hamilton scholarships will be awarded to 4 new high school students. 15 students are benefiting from the fund, which was established in 1966 by the Trott family to assist deserving students with uniforms, books, and other school supplies. Alexander Hamilton, who was the first U.S. Secretary of the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, was born in 1957 on the island of Nevis. Finally, in our national news segment, St. Kitts and Nevis now has its first female fire officer licensed to drive the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue SKN-FRS fire truck. The historic feat was achieved by Fire Officer Louise Clark in December 2018. The VON Newsline is speaking with head of the department, Fire Chief Everett Ogaro, explained that this achievement by one of his female officers is in keeping with his mandate to challenge them to strive at every opportunity.
From time past in the St. Kitts Nevis Fire and Rescue Services, female officers were merely just assigned to desk duties. They would answer a phone and record information on a daily basis. One of the things I've done on becoming the head of the department is to challenge female officers and to clearly indicate to them that there is no barrier to what a female officer can achieve within the organization. And so I've always challenged them, and we've gotten them to a point where we've put 4 to 5 female officers into a driving program. And so Mrs. Clark is one of the first to have successfully come out of that program, and so we would want to congratulate her.
He further noted that this speaks volumes for the fire and rescue services in the Federation moving forward.
It sends a significant message to potential candidates, female candidates, upon joining the organization, or even present female fire officers, in that we take serious the issue of gender bias. And so, as I indicated clearly earlier, there is no barrier with regards to what a female officer in the St. Kitts Nevis Fire and Rescue Services can achieve. And so we've continued to challenge them to be the best and strive to be the best female fire officer that they can be.
That is Fire Chief Everett Ogaro. That concludes our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, our social media page on Facebook at Von Radio, and also our YouTube channel at Von Radio for these and other stories. News from across the region comes up next.
Home. It means something different to everyone. It's a place you love, a place as unique as you are, a place where you can be yourselves, a place for life's big surprises, and not to mention the small ones. Moments to cherish, and moments that last a lifetime. It's a place for nurture, and a place where you can grow together. It's home. So whether you're building, purchasing, or renovating, the Bank of Nevis is here to open the door, giving you the confidence to dream and the help you need to get there with a mortgage loan from the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back and on to our regional news segment. Former Venezuelan Supreme Court Justice Christian Zerpa has fled to the United States to protest President Nicolas Maduro's regime. Zerpa, once a staunch supporter of Maduro, fled to Miami, Florida, where in an interview he told EVTV, and I quote, "I've decided to leave Venezuela to disavow the government of Nicolas Maduro," end quote. Zerpa also called the last presidential elections, which saw Maduro win in a landslide that many saw as a flagrantly flawed and illegal, the last straw for him, and he decided to speak out against what looks like a totalitarian regime now being run by Maduro in Venezuela. Maduro's ruling Socialist Party had lost control of the legislature to the opposition in a landslide vote in the parliamentary elections in December 2016. The Maduro regime has fired back to the defection of Zerpa, stating that Zerpa is a fugitive from Venezuela justice and a pending investigation on sexual harassment claims at Zerpa's court offices. This is the latest high-profile defection from the Maduro regime since the political instability and humanitarian crisis began. And out of Dominica, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit is blaming certain actions by the opposition United Workers' Party, UWP, and the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM, for the delays in the process for the implementation of electoral reform in Dominica. He said recently that the only entity showing interest in proceeding with electoral reform is the Dominica Labour Party DLP administration. According to Skerritt, the Parliament needs to give to the Electoral Commission the legal authority to issue the national ID cards and to go through the process that it has to engage in electoral reform. That notwithstanding, he indicated that listening to radio programs and listening to comments about the draft bills, we removed certain sections of the amendments. Skerritt indicated that the only thing the country needs now is the legal authority to allow the Commission to make those changes to effect electoral reform and to start the process. And in news out of Grenada, the country has been put on alert amid fears of a dengue outbreak after Jamaica reported an upsurge in cases at the start of the year. Chief Medical Officer Dr. George Mitchell said that, and I quote, "We, the country, are taking early and decisive action now," end quote. Early this month, health authorities in Jamaica confirmed that 2 dengue-related deaths for the period of January to December last year and said that the virus had surpassed the epidemic threshold for December. Mitchell said that the Health Promotions Department and Vector Control officers have been mandated to scale up their intervention programs nationwide aimed at preventing an upsurge in the spread of dengue fever in Grenada. The Aedes aegypti mosquito is responsible for the spread of dengue, Zika, and chikungunya viruses. And in St. Lucia, the country has improved its passport power ranking and the Henley Passport Index, with citizens enjoying visa-free, visa-on-arrival access to 145 countries. In a further display of regional passport power, St. Lucia now sits in 6th place regionally and 31st globally, moving up 2 spots. This marks a new high for St. Lucia, which moved up its rankings 7 points since 2008. Finally, in our regional news segment, out of Anguilla, police responded to a call of a shooting incident in the South Hill area at about 7:35 last evening. The Royal Anguilla Police Force, RAPF, confirmed that a young man died as a result of the shooting incident and that more will be provided through a later release. As the police continue their investigation into the matter, they have appealed to the public who may have witnessed or have any information regarding this shooting to contact the Valley Police Station. As the police investigation continues into this matter, a family liaison officer has been appointed to the family. That concludes our regional news segment. International news comes up next as the VON Major News Package continues. Welcome back and on to our international news segment. The defeated opposition candidate in DR Congo's presidential election has vowed to challenge the results in court. Martin Fayulu told the BBC the people of the nation deserve to know the truth of the election, which he said had led to a coup.
La Senko a pris acte de cette publication des résultats provisoires qui
Senko took note of the publication of the provisional results by the Electoral Commission, which for the first time in the recent history of our country opened the door to a peaceful handover of power at the highest levels of the state. That said, Senko has arrived at the conclusion that the results of the presidential election as published by the Electoral Commission do not match the data collected by Senko's own observation mission.
Another opposition candidate, Felix Tshisekedi, was declared the winner amid accusations of a power-sharing deal with the outgoing president. Several deaths and injuries have been reported in the wake of the results. And U.S. President Donald Trump has renewed a threat to declare a national emergency to fund the construction of a wall on the Mexican border. A row with Democrats over funding the wall has left the government partially shut down for 20 days, leaving some 80,000 federal employees unpaid. On Saturday, the the shutdown becomes the longest in U.S. history. The Democrats say the wall is an immorality and a waste of taxpayers' money. President Trump has refused to sign legislation to fund the reopen of the government if it does not include a $5.7 billion for the wall. And Polish security services have arrested a Chinese national and a Polish man for espionage, according to local media. The Chinese national is a sales director at Chinese telecoms firm Huawei's Polish branch, according to public TV channel TVP. The tech company has been a focal point of international scrutiny, with several countries raising security concerns about its products. The two individuals were arrested on Tuesday.
The Chinese national was detained along with a former member of the Polish security services. Huawei's offices in Poland have been searched, as have those of the French mobile operator Orange. The incident comes at a bad time for Huawei. The United States, Australia and Japan are just some of the countries concerned about the use of the company's telecom equipment. Some believe its hardware could be used by China's security services to spy. That's a charge vigorously denied in Beijing, but these latest arrests will refocus attention on that issue.
And the court in Myanmar has rejected an appeal by two Reuters reporters jailed for breaking a state secret act. Walloon and Shaw Shu-ho were sentenced to 7 years in September in a case condemned around the world. They exposed the summary execution of 10 Muslim Rohingyas by the security forces during the military's anti-Rohingya operation in 2017. However, Reuters editor-in-chief Stephen Adler said reporting was not a crime.
Today's ruling is yet another injustice among many inflicted upon Walloon and Chaw Soo-u. They remain behind bars for one reason. Those in power sought to silence the truth. And until Myanmar rights this terrible wrong, the press in Myanmar is not free, and Myanmar's commitment to rule of law and democracy remains in doubt.
That concludes our international news segment. The latest in sports comes up next.
Most of us spend the better part of each weekday at the workplace. So why not make your office environment the kind of setting that helps you function at your personal best by outfitting it with top-quality furniture, high-end photocopiers, printers, versatile office supplies, and the latest technology. The friendly and knowledgeable staff at the TDC Business Center are happy to provide you with personalized service to help you create an office space that's the total package. TDC Business Center, providing solutions that work.
Welcome back and on to the latest in sports. In cricket news, India captain Virat Kohli says his players do not support inappropriate comments made by teammates Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul about women. The remarks from all-rounder Pandya, 25, and batsman Rahul, 26, were made on an Indian television show. The two concerned players felt what has gone wrong and they have understood the magnitude, Kohli said. Pandya and Rahul were speaking on the popular celebrity talk show Coffee with Karan, which is hosted by Bollywood filmmaker Karan Johar. The chat show is in its 6th season, and this was the first time cricketers have appeared on the sofa. Pandya spoke about hookups with several women and said he liked to observe women at bars or nightclubs. Pandya has since apologized on social media, but the pair could be banned by India's cricket board. And in more cricketing news, 2 innings set the stage for the Guyana Jaguars to end day 1 of the 4th round of matches in the regional cricket tournament on an imposing total. The Guyana Jaguars ended day 1 in their match versus the Windward Islands on 307 for 6. Leading the way in contrasting fashion was wicketkeeper batsman Anthony Bramble, who slammed 168 from only 151 balls, which included 17 fours and 6 maximums, and Tegan Narayan Chandapal, who, having batted the entire day, was on 71 not out from 298 balls, including 4 fours. Josh Thomas was the pick of the windward bowlers with 3 for 62. And in local sporting news, the official closing ceremony for the Malcolm Gishard Basketball League, which concluded late last year, will take place on Saturday, January 19th. The event will commence at 7 p.m. with a matchup between a champion team, Dynasty Ballers, and a mixed team. The match will commence at 7 p.m. and the presentation ceremony will follow. And in football news, Bayern Munich forward Thomas Müller is set to miss both legs of their Champions League last 16 tie against Liverpool after he was given a 2-match European ban. Müller, 29, was sent off in December's 3-3 group stage draw with Ajax for kicking Nicolas Tagliafico in the head. The German, who has scored 42 goals in 107 Champions League appearances, has appealed against the decision. The sides met in Anfield in February 19th and in Munich on March 13th. The sides meet at Anfield on February 19th and in Munich on March 13th. The sending off was the first of Müller's career, and after the incident he posted in social media, and I quote, "I would like to apologize to Nico for the incident. It was unintentional. Get well soon," end quote. And finally, in our sporting news segment, in tennis news, Britain's Andy Murray says he plans to retire after this year's Wimbledon, but fears next week's Australian Open could be the final tournament of his career. The 3-time Grand Slam winner, who is struggling to recover from hip surgery, was in tears at a news conference in Melbourne today. However, Murray says he still intends to play his Australian Open first-round match against the Spanish 22nd seed Roberto Bautista Agut next week. The former world number 1 had surgery on his right hip last January and has played 14 matches since returning to sport last June. And finally, in sports in athletics, a World Anti-Doping Agency team has gained access to the Russian Anti-Doping Agency laboratory in Moscow 10 days after an initial deadline. WADA's inspection team has been denied full access to data after Roshada was set a 31st December deadline to comply. The visit was a condition of WADA's controversial reinstatement of Roshada in September 2018. Speaking to Russian media, the country's sports minister Pavel Kolobovkov said the work should be completed within the next 3 days. And that's it for sports. The latest weather comes up next. Your weather forecast for today reads tonight partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of showers, and tomorrow morning. Tomorrow partly cloudy with a 30% or low chance of showers. The winds are east-southeast at 7 to 19 kilometers per hour or 4 to 10 knots and becoming lighter and variable or calm overnight. Seas 1.2 to 1.5 meters or 4 to 5 feet. Sunrise for tomorrow will be at 6:43 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday 11th January 2019. But before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The nationally annual prostate screening to be held here on Nevis on Saturday 12th January, and Premier Brantley addresses concerns over poverty alleviation program. Regionally, Venezuelan Supreme Court Justice flees Maduro regime and is speaking out. Internationally, defeated candidate in DR Congo election vows legal challenge. And in sports, Virat Kohli says comments made by India's Pandya and Rahul are inappropriate. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Marvin Ross, wishing you a safe and an enjoyable weekend.